NFL quarterbacks will always be more prone to getting more love. It's just the nature of the position.
Did the Niners overpay for Brock?
I think so. I think so.
So, with the 2025 NFL season approaching, let us dive into 5 NFL quarterbacks who get far too much credit, and 5 who never get enough. Gets too much? Brock Purdy. Even though Kyle Shanahan has a long and successful history of getting the most out of his quarterbacks, the San Francisco 49ers view Purdy as an exceptional talent. Despite being in a miserable salary cap situation, they just handed him a lucrative 5-year contract extension worth $265 million. Yeah, Purdy took the 49ers to the NFC Championship game in his rookie year, and sure, he took the Kansas City Chiefs to overtime in Super Bowl 58 before dropping a heartbreaker. But newsflash, Garoppolo, the epitome of a mediocre QB, also took the 49ers to a Super Bowl and 2 NFC Championship games. The main difference is that Purdy has proven to be far more durable than Jimmy G, and as good as Purdy's stats were in 2022 and 2023, we'd like to remind you how much he came back to earth in year 3, when the 49ers were absolutely ravaged by injuries. With superstar running back Christian McCaffrey missing all but 4 games, the 49ers limped to a last-place finish in the NFC West. Purdy had just 20 touchdowns against a career-high 12 interceptions, and his QB rating fell from 113.0 to 96.1. Not sure about you, but we think that Purdy's good numbers have something to do with having McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Trent Williams at his side. And that's to say nothing of ex-49er Deebo Samuel. Purdy is a good QB who fits well in Shanahan's system on a star-studded 49ers team, but unfortunately, he is just not anything close to being great. Doesn't get enough? Tua Tagovailoa. The Miami Dolphins star gets a lot of flack due to his lackluster record against winning teams and, well, a lack of any postseason victories. But Miami's record and stats without number 1 don't lie. He moves the needle more than the majority of starting quarterbacks, and he is simply not appreciated enough around the league. Tagovailoa is 38-24-0 through 5 seasons as Miami's starter, with 100 touchdowns and 44 interceptions. He's won more than half of his starts each year. Oh, and he's got a higher career passer rating than Jared Goff, Josh Allen, Jalen Hertz, Justin Herbert, and Matthew Stafford. If Tua is overrated, then what does it make those guys? Since 2020, the Dolphins are 9-13 in games without Tagovailoa. They average 25.1 points per game with him on the field, and 19.4 when he's not playing. And finally, Tyreek Hill's best career numbers have come with Tagovailoa throwing him the football, not Patrick Mahomes. And I think most of us agree that Mahomes is probably the best QB of this era. Gets too much? Kyler Murray. A lot of people love to hype Murray as a superstar-level quarterback, and sure, we get it. When he's on his game, few quarterbacks are more highlight reel worthy and entertaining to watch. But for a former number 1 pick who is now 6 seasons into his career, Murray's career feels rather, underwhelming? Is that just us? His penchant for starting out strong and unraveling in the second half of the season has been very well documented. You're looking at a QB with only 1 postseason appearance and no victories on his resume, despite being surrounded with big-name stars like DeAndre Hopkins, James Conner, Trey McBride, Hollywood Brown, and now Marvin Harrison Jr. Folks, we're looking at a QB who has yet to throw for 4,000 yards or 30 touchdowns in a single season. And for those who think Cliff Kingsbury was the problem for Murray in Arizona, well, see what the former Cardinals head coach did with Jaden Daniels in his rookie year. Doesn't get enough? Jalen Hurts. It's funny how much things can change in just a year. Last season, people thought that Hertz was the problem and the main reason for the Philadelphia Eagles' brutal late-season collapse in 2023. Then, boom, a year later, he's a Super Bowl winning QB who just knocked off Patrick Mahomes and the dynastic Kansas City Chiefs in the big game. So now he's just the product of a great system, or so the haters and critics report. Hertz is not a product of the Eagles' system. He is a superstar who helped this roster maximize its potential. Don't forget just how rock-solid he was with a weak supporting cast in 2021, before the likes of A.J. Brown and Saquon arrived. Gets too much? Jordan Love. Hindsight shows us that the Green Bay Packers made the right decision to draft Jordan Love in 2020 and to move on from Aaron Rodgers after the 2022 season. The Utah State product overcame a sluggish start in 2023, his first as the Packers starter, and led them to the playoffs after throwing for 4,159 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 11 picks. The magic continued with a blowout win over the Dallas Cowboys in the wildcard round, only to run out when Love threw a careless interception in the divisional round, loss to the San Francisco 49ers. Love missed 2 games in 2024 due to injury, but he certainly didn't look much better than the feel-good story of 2023. I mean, backup Malik Willis played very well in relief of Love and won both of his starts. Love's 2024 season ended in ugly fashion though, a 0 TD and 3 INT performance in the 22-10 loss to the Eagles in the wildcard round. Yeah, sure, current Jordan Love is better than post-2021 Aaron Rodgers, but no, Love really is not a superstar quarterback. Not even close, really. And let's put some respect on the name of Matt LaFleur, who already looks like a future Hall of Fame head coach. We're very curious how Love would play outside of LaFleur's QB-friendly system. Just saying. Doesn't get enough? Russell Wilson. It's easy to write off Wilson and say that he's on the decline, but a deeper dive into the numbers actually suggests that he's just constantly been in the wrong place at the wrong time, if you will. Wilson's disastrous 2022 season with the Denver Broncos was brought on by the league's worst offensive line and an unqualified head coach in Nathaniel Hackett. Once Sean Payton came in to lead the offense in 2023, Wilson had a stellar bounce-back season with 26 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions in 15 games. Doesn't sound quite washed up to us. The Broncos didn't want Wilson anymore and released him from his contract before drafting Bo Nix. Wilson signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but unfortunately had to miss the first 6 games with a calf injury. Wilson went 6-5 as a starter with 16 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. We know the season ended on an ugly note and with a playoff loss to the Baltimore Ravens. But does that fall on Wilson? Folks, this team hasn't won a freaking playoff game since 2016, and it's not like Wilson had much to work with outside of George Pickens. Oh, and his 95.6 passer rating in 2024 was higher than the likes of Matt Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, and CJ Stroud. So, if 2024 Russell Wilson was washed up, what do you think about those other QBs? Hit too much? Trevor Lawrence. Too many people seem to think of T-Law as a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback for whatever reason. Is it because you still have that generational label that he once carried stuck in your head? But you know, other than a strong second half in 2022, what exactly has Lawrence done since the Jacksonville Jaguars drafted him first overall in 2021? Sure, we can all blame his forgettable rookie year on the Urban Meyer disaster. Fine, but what about the rest? Hey, credit to him for a strong second half in 2022 that led the Jags to the AFC South Division crown and a playoff win over the Los Angeles Chargers. Sure, but we can't forget Lawrence's final 5 starts of 2023 when the Jags had their division all but locked up. Lawrence lost his final 5 starts and threw 7 interceptions over the last 3 contests. The Jaguars literally just handed the division to the Houston Texans. Great work, Lawrence. You did great. And before his season-ending injury in 2024, Lawrence had 11 touchdowns and 7 picks and barely averaged over 200 passing yards a game. That is far from generational. Ever since 2022, the Jags supplied Lawrence with an elite offensive supporting cast and a Super Bowl winning head coach in Doug Peterson. Look, at some point, maybe the so-called QB1 should be viewed as a part of the problem, not a part of the solution. Doesn't get enough? CJ Stroud. Stroud had what many argued at the time was the best quarterback rookie season ever in 2023. Taking over for a rebuilding Houston Texans squad that had won 11 combined games over the previous 3 years, Stroud immediately breathed new life into the Texans, throwing for 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. The Texans won the AFC South Division crown and crushed the Cleveland Browns on Wild Card Weekend, winning just their second playoff game in 7 years. So, expectations went through the roof for Stroud in 2024, who many believed would enter the top tier of quarterbacks. Stroud didn't exactly have the most exciting sophomore season, though. But how about we don't blame Stroud for the meh sophomore season? This guy played behind an atrocious offensive line that allowed 52 sacks. Star receivers Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs each suffered season-ending injuries, too. And yet, Stroud still led Houston to a second straight division crown and wildcard round victory. And they only lost to the Kansas City Chiefs by 9 points in the divisional round, despite being shorthanded. Give Stroud a healthy lineup and a half-decent offensive line, and whoo, his numbers would be off the charts. Gets too much? Dak Prescott. Prescott's excellent numbers can't be ignored. He's got the 8th highest career passer rating. Despite playing on star-studded rosters for the majority of his career, he has just 2 career playoff wins. And as much as people love the fancy stats, he's only exceeded 30 passing TDs in a season twice. Prescott's regular season passer rating is 99.6. 96. That number drops to 91.8 in the postseason. 3 of his playoff losses have come at home as a favorite, too. Look, love Dak's stats all you want, but his inability to perform in the postseason puts him in the overrated aspect. Doesn't get enough? Jared Goff. For those who think Goff was once a product of Sean McVay's offense, what do you say now? Don't tell us he's a product of Dan Campbell's offense, because the Lions wouldn't be where they are now without the #1 pick of 2016. Goff's numbers as a Lion, including the 2021 season, when they were in full-on tank mode, are better than what he put up with the Los Angeles Rams. And for those who think that he's a choker, well, it's not his fault that the Lions' defense has been awful in the last 2 postseasons. Goff has elevated not 1, but 2 NFL franchises that were among the worst in American professional sports before his arrival. But hey, which other NFL quarterbacks get far too much credit? And which ones don't get enough? Let us know in the comments section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.